All right, I want to talk briefly about adding additional target odors to any kind of substance detection dog, whether it's a military working dog, it's a police canine, and pet nosework dog. This is something that I think people get wrapped up in quite a bit, is how the process of how they're going to do this, and they think it's challenging. To me, adding additional target odors to a detection dog is not a tricky thing at all. Really, for me, I want to see everything done correctly on odor number one. And there's also the concept of training on odor number one being a cocktail, or the first odor that these dogs are like learning to locate being a cocktail of, multiple odors, and that can range from several to many depending on the actual area of detection that this particular canine is working for. But to me, I tell people that adding additional odors is something that's not very challenging to the actual dog. Us as humans make errors and things that we may do with it, but it's not, if the dogs could talk to us, I think they would say that we're really kind of being insulting to them by the amount of effort and how we kind of view this. So getting everything correct on odor number one is what matters to me. Once the dogs understand the rules on odor number one, it's not a challenge to show them that those exact same rules apply, just to different target odors. So if they understand the first odor, we can get them to understand that the same rules apply, the same game, all the same things that we've talked about before apply, but now there's just different scents that are incorporated. But if I have not done a cocktail method of training, and I was, teaching a dog on one particular odor, when I start to add additional odors, whether it be odor number 2, 3, 4, etc., I'm going to, again, with the Ramsey Nosework system of what I do, I'm going to teach the dog and have those initial odor encounters, those odor experiences conducted in the training lab, what I call the training lab. And to me, there's lots of benefits to that. Like, I want to use an area that the dog already makes very, very specific generalizations and assumptions about how the rules of this work, and they understand a very specific area of how this works. They already know the dog's going to search, and while they're searching for odor number one, when they're used to the rules of that, now I'm just going to change it, so I'm going to put out odor number two. I'm not going to pair odor number two with food or toy. I'm not going to pair odor number two with odor number one. I'm just going to go ahead and put odor number two out there in the training lab, in that training environment. Now the dog's going to search, and they're going to be looking essentially for odor number one. But there's two things that can happen. They can go, hey, what is that? And check out this a little bit different, and I can mark and reward. And at this time, on odor number one, the dog will already have a very, very specific actual response or indication that I've installed in the dog. I don't want to be doing, messing with odor number two if the rules to odor number one are not very, very specifically in place. And when I say that, I mean the dog will go, the rules of odor already applied here, that when they smell any hint of the target odor, they're going to bracket and go to source to the highest concentration of the target odor until something physically stops them, until a physical barrier prevents the dog from getting any closer. The part of the dog that matters to me, that I want as close as possible, obviously is the nose. The nose is the part of the canine that I'm utilizing for substance detection. The other portions of the animal matter, considerably less to me, obviously. So I want their nose to get as close as possible to the source, and at that time I want them to freeze. So if they understand those rules for odor number one, and I've already built duration in the amount of time the dog is willing to provide that response for me on odor number one, I can put out odor number two in the training lab. The dog's searching for odor number one, trying to locate it, saying, where's odor number one? They're doing their best to vigilantly search for and hunt for odor number one. But as soon as they identify odor number two as being something novel and new in the search environment, I'm going to mark and reward. Again, how I do that is different with food and toy dogs, which I've discussed in other little segments here that you can find through the YouTube videos. But let's say it's a food dog, they pay attention to odor number two. I'm going to mark and reward, again, without any duration in the actual response or indication. I'll reset, start the dog over the search. We'll search the training lab again. They'll show interest again in odor number two, like it's a novel, it's a new smell in the training lab. They're used to searching, so they smell something slightly different. As soon as they pay attention to it, I'm going to mark and reward. And normally, I'd say generally within less than 10 trials, I can explain to the animal that it's not just odor number one that's going to give them the rewards. Now there's a second odor where all the same rules apply. And at this point, I can start to ask for more duration in the actual response. I'm not doing what I would call a pay on sniff reward anymore. In the very beginning, as soon as they sniff it, I'm going to click and reward, or mark and reward, or if the toy dog toss a toy, or click and give them a toy. But that's only for the first few repetitions. it doesn't take long before the animal can change the rules here and understand, okay, it's not just this one particular scent or this target odor that rewards me if I find it. And again, I have to follow the rules of odor, being that I go to the highest concentration and freeze. But now there's a second odor. So all the other components there are already very, very clearly installed. They understand exactly what to do on odor number 1. So odor number 2 is not much of a challenge. I'm just gonna, like I said, as soon as they encounter it, I'm gonna mark, do that several times. And then next thing you know, when they smell that odor number 2, they'll bracket, they go to source, get as close as they can, and they naturally will offer the very, very same response that I've installed correctly on odor number 1. And when they do that, I say yes, I click or I communicate to the animal, that's exactly what I want you to do. And that transition in the dog's mind is not very challenging. I think people make a much bigger deal about that than is necessary. So really what I try to explain to people is don't worry about how to add the additional odors, but get everything correct, all the rules of how this whole process works on odor number 1, or on the first target odor you're teaching a dog. And if you do that, you can really add as many odors as you want. I think it's insulting to the dogs to think that that's challenging for them. They figure this out very, very quickly, as long as we teach them the rules correctly for the first target odor.